Hello everyone, my name is Oceana. I'm going to be doing a review for Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer, and I would like to do some comparisons to Twilight and then also to Life and Death, which is quite the big book. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'll talk mild spoilers, like just little plot points, but I'm not going to talk details, so if you know the story of Twilight, you won't be spoiled because it's exactly the same. I did compare some passages to Twilight because I wanted to remember what Bella was thinking, and they are identical. Everything that Edward says in Twilight is exactly what he says here. You just get to see the thoughts behind it and like why he said what he said, you know, all of that. So I loved that. Like, I was also one of the ones who read the I think 11 leaked chapters back in the day. I read it multiple times, and so the first 11 chapters of this I recognized, although some of the pages were off. Like, she obviously added some stuff because like there's tons of times when Bella is not with Edward in Twilight, so you get to see what Edward was doing in all those times, and it was so enjoyable. I think that was my favorite part, is seeing what Edward was doing when he wasn't with Bella, because they don't sleep, so you get to just like, you know, hang out with Edward the whole time. The one critique that I didn't have in Twilight, but probably because I was a teenager when I read it, so I wouldn't have had that critique, but Midnight Sun made their relationship look pretty much like insta-love. So that was the only thing I was like, oh, this is really insta-lovey, but at the same time, it is described like he's a vampire, he feels things like really intensely and really quickly. If he's gonna feel it, he's gonna feel it all the way. So as soon as he started having love feelings for Bella, it went straight into in love, you're my everything, you know, all of that. So like, as a human, that does not sound realistic, but as a vampire, it is. So try to keep that in mind. But other than that, I loved every second of this, and I took a lot of time to just soak in all of the scenes. I didn't want to breeze past anything, so it almost took me the whole month to read this book. Oh, I loved it. And really, like, once the baseball scene happened and everything after that happened, I couldn't put it down. It was so good. What I also loved is this painted Jacob in such a nice way. Like, he is really such a dear, dear boy. I love the way Edward described his head, his thoughts, because you get a little bit of it in Breaking Dawn, because you get a chunk of chapters in Jacob's perspective, but we've never gotten Edward's perspective on Jacob. So I just really enjoyed seeing Edward's take on Jacob. Like, yes, he was jealous, but he also was like, he has a really kind like and sincere mind, and I loved seeing that. So that was really cool. And then seeing the Cullens at home, and you know, all the siblings, and seeing more of Alice and Jasper's powers in action was really cool. So the build up to the ending with Bella in the hospital and Edward thinking through everything, it was like squeezing my heart, because you know what's coming, right? Like, you know what happens in New Moon if you've read the Twilight Saga. Like, started here, and I guess I knew that, but just seeing it in action in Edward's perspective was like pretty painful, because I knew what was coming for Bella. Like, and Alice even saw it. Like, I was a little bit like, oh no. But I mean, it is a really good thing I know that it ends well, because I would just be dying for the next book. I did want to just mention Life and Death, because one thing I wondered is how Midnight Sun would end, because I wasn't sure if it was gonna follow exactly Twilight, like to the very end, because she wrote this like there could be another one, you know? Like, she wrote this like, okay, we need New Moon now, and then okay, we'll need Eclipse, and then we will for sure need Breaking Dawn. So I wonder. She'll probably keep it very secret if she is gonna do that. I don't know. Anyways, because if you haven't read Life and Death, it's really fun too. So Life and Death is also Twilight, but it's if Edward was a girl and Bella was a boy. So every gender in here is different. Although I think Charlie and Renee are the same. Everyone else, whatever gender they were, is the opposite gender in this book. So that was really fun, and also she wrote a different ending, but I won't tell you what the ending is, but it also blew my mind. And I wondered if Midnight Sun was going to end this way, because this way wraps it up so there's not going to be any more books. But Midnight Sun does not do that. So I was curious about that. So if you care or want to know, yeah. And I would recommend Life and Death too. Definitely not as good as Twilight. Like, Twilight was written for the vampire to be a guy and the human to be a girl. It didn't quite translate as perfectly, in my opinion, for the vampire to be a girl and the human to be a boy, but it was still absolutely amazing, so fun, and I loved the different ending. I thought that was a really smart move. So I love Life and Death. Although I've actually only read it once. Can you believe that? I've read everything else Twilight multiple times, but Life and Death I only read once, just because it's not quite as good as Twilight, and I'd rather just keep Twilight as the prime child, you know? So that's my little review. If you want to talk about how you felt about it, I would love to chat in the comments. But yeah, in general, I would recommend this. It's definitely all about romance and then also vampires. And actually, something interesting, I forgot to mention this. In Midnight Sun, close to the end, Edward actually prays, but he describes it like he's not praying to his god because he doesn't believe he has a god, but he says he's praying to Bella's god, and he prays that he won't ruin Bella's life, basically. But the way it was written, I was like, oh, okay, if you were gonna include it, I think that's the most realistic way you could include it to not like be rude or offensive, you know? So that was interesting. Like, they do talk about God a little bit in Twilight too, because yeah, Edward just believes he doesn't have a soul. He believes he's not going anywhere when he dies, but he wants to believe it for Bella, so that's why he prays to Bella's god, I guess you could say. So I thought that was interesting, and I don't think it was done wrong, so I just wanted to comment on that as well. But yeah, thank you guys for watching my review. Overall, loved it. 5 stars. Highly recommend. Definitely read Twilight first, though, in my opinion. Definitely read Twilight first, if you're wondering about that. Yes. I would even say read the whole saga first, because if you don't, you'll be like, what? Because this ends like, yeah. This ends also, in a way, like this whole book kind of spoils where everything's going, because you get to see Alice's visions. And so, yeah, definitely read the Twilight Saga first, okay? Yeah, or do whatever you want, doesn't matter. Okay, thank you guys for watching this video. Have a really good day. I'll see you next time. Bye.